Callbacks are the default JavaScript technique for asynchronous work. Pass a function to another function and then call the callback function at some later time when some conditions have been met. This works well, but there are some questions without obvious answers. For instance, how do you handle errors? It's best practice to assume that any operation could fail at any time. It's doubly important to assume so with network requests. If an error occurs here, should you still execute the callback? If so, what value should it receive? If not, then what should happen? What if it's a JavaScript error? Should that be handled any differently than a network error? There's no clear answer. Node basically makes error-first callbacks mandatory, but that doesn't really solve the problem. It's still basically your job to define and implement an error handling strategy. Assume that everything happened just fine, no errors, and then this callback runs when the onload handler gets called. Great! Now you've chained together two pieces of work. But what if this callback is also an asynchronous operation and you need something else to happen afterwards? Do you pass another function with another callback here? This is one scenario that leads to something called the Pyramid of Doom, a dreadful situation where there are nasty nested callbacks within callbacks within callbacks. This looks ugly and it's hard to write, but the real sin is that it is incredibly frustrating to debug. This is the same kind of code but written with promises, and oh my, it looks nicer. You'll be learning all about the beauty of .then later in this course. For now, just read this and appreciate the fact that you can figure out what's happening here despite the fact that you haven't even finished this course. That's pretty awesome.